My dudes, there's a new tool that I have to have, and it's a Milwaukee pipe bender. All right, so recently I got to go out to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I got to go to the Milwaukee factory. They've got this thing called Pipeline that they do every year where they bring a bunch of us in and introduce, here's all the new cool toys, play. So it's like a really fun thing for those of us that are in the trades to feel like you're kind of at Toys R Us, but for, you know, power tools. And they had this Conduit bender there. And I'll be honest, every time Milwaukee makes something, I find myself saying like, why? Why is there another tool that I have to use when my old methods are just fine? Like, not everything needs innovation until I touch it. Right? Every tool Milwaukee makes, once I use it, I'm like, take my money, take all my money. So they always do that to me. And it's interesting because like what they do is actually go out in the field and watch electricians work and see what they're doing, and they identify problems and then they create something that addresses that problem. So it makes us faster, makes us safer, and it just like makes our jobs easier and our lives easier. So you guys have to check this thing out. Give me a minute, like let the dude speak before you write off whether or not we need it, like we all tend to do, because this thing is so savage. It's such a cool tool.
What's up, my dude? What do you got here? We got the all-new M18 fuel branch conduit bender. So we developed this tool in conjunction with our trade partners, and the objective of the tool was to deliver a solution that could give you really consistent, accurate, and productivity-based bending experience for multiple raceway branch conduit.
Did you bend that whole, well, not you, but
yes.
Somebody bend that with?
Yes, I worked with two of my local electricians to bend this. I was here helping, you know, moving pipes around for them, basically.
All right.
But yeah, they did.
So why would I need to go and spend the money on this versus just using my bender like I've been doing 20 years?
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons that we baked into the tool. I think the first thing is it's all about consistency and accuracy. You know, There's a lot of very skilled tradesmen out there with hand benders, but this is also a way to help, you know, even if you're a very good bender, this tool will help elevate your skill and make you even more productive on the site. We're doing that in a couple different ways.
What's the size range that this will do?
So the tool will do 1/2, 3/4, and 1-inch EMT, and then 3/4 and 1/2-inch rigid. We wanted to ensure that this tool had enough capacity to cover all the sizes you're going to bend most commonly, but then also still remain portable. Because a big part of the tool, I'll show right now, we've baked this into a solution that can be moved incredibly quickly.
Oh, rad.
So you can go, you know, if you've got a branch room on one side of the site and the other, you can walk between them.
Look, you got guys up on scissor lifts and you're the ground guy and all you got to do is post up.
Yep.
I see the benefit of that.
Yeah.
How fast is it though?
All right, I'll go ahead and show you. I'll just bend an offset really fast. Okay. To give you a sense.
Do you have to eyeball your offsets or is there like an offset?
So the way we optimized this was to give you basically the ability to eyeball your offset without any impedance. So if you think about other powered benders today, they have a big shoe in your way. You can't gun sight down the pipe like you would with a hand bender, let's say. So we're giving you a very similar experience with this tool with the ability to eyeball your pipe.
What's the max bend? Does it stop at a 90?
So you can bend, I think, 99 degrees with it.
Okay.
Yep. So if you have like a pitched roof or something that you're trying to 90 up and match, still do all of that. It has a custom angle mode, or what we call free bend. And what that'll allow you to do is make whatever angle you want.
Okay.
And then you're also able to, let's set up a kick really quick. So we'll go ahead and demo a 90 as well. And I'll talk about auto zero here. So what we're doing that's unique on this tool is every single bend, when we lock the pipe in, the tool can sense when pressure is built between the hook and the roller and lock the pipe in. Okay. And what this gives you is the opportunity to get everything secure, but it's also a gut check of, all right, is everything lined up exactly the way I want? Do I have my planes aligned? Is my layout where I want? And you're not sitting there like, you know, pushing the button, trying to get it to sneak up and be tight, but not too tight to where it starts to bend.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you're going to transition your layout to the floor, it slips, everything moves, you don't see it, you bend that pipe.
Right.
So we get that out of this, but what's really cool is that it keeps the tool consistent and accurate, because every time it zeros like this, it's sensing that 0 degree position and saying, anything I move forward is going to apply bend angle. So now I know exactly where my bend's going to start, and I can apply the spring back correction and the target angle on top of that, regardless of variance in pipe or, you know, your hook or your roller.
That was exactly my question. I was going to be like, how do you know this is level? Does the tool have to level itself? But it also, yeah, if you have a starting point, any bend is degrees of bend, so it should matter. That's so smart, man.
So we're removing that variable from the equation.
So how does this do with rigid?
Bends is just like everything else. Like right,
No precautions when working with this with rigid?
no, just every conduit size it's designed for, it bends perfectly. Yeah.
And it's all on the M18 battery system?
All on the M18. And from a runtime perspective, for 3/4 inch EMT, we're getting 110 90s on an XC50. Like the same thing that's going to come with your drill kit, you can run on this tool. You don't have to go get a big pack to get the runtime.
You still could, right? You could still have a 9 or a 12.
Yeah, and then you got like days of runtime. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's great.
So I'll go ahead and bend this 90 really quick here. And the tool just automatically stops. So there's spring back equation in here that gets applied to every size, material, and angle combination. And it's going to give you a great starting point. And then if you need to make any adjustments based off the pipe batch you have, we have our plus minus angle tweaks if you want to come see this. We can go all the way to 9 degrees, 9.5 in either direction. So that if you need, for very outlier batches of pipe, you can still correct if you want. But it's going to remember this for all sizes, angles, and materials so that you can come back to it. It's not going to lose it. Pull it back out, plug it back in, it's all still going to be there.
Okay, so what markings do you have on these shoes? Like I see that there's a star, you got the grip.
Yep.
So you still have a way of setting up like 15 conduits right next to each other and having a common mark at least where we could start all offsets.
Yep, you can, like some guys will use push-through method with this. There's a bunch of different, like we set it up to match what you can get away with a hand bender. So you don't have to learn a new system or new math or change your process entirely. Like you can give a really similar experience to that.
Oh my God, that's actually crazy. It's impressive because I think that the speed and efficiency of bending is one like huge key point, but having perfect bends is another problem, right? Like all of us, we can bend really great stuff, but there's always that like one that you're looking at, you're like, shit, that was a little off.
A lot of guys can bend really fast, like they can just bang a 90 out, but then they sit there and they tweak it.
Yeah, try to put a level, is it level?
Exactly. Yeah. So what our objective was, remove tweaking from that process. Like once you're dialed in, you just go.
And 100%, this is right.
Correct.
Wow, dude, that's so great.
So I'll go ahead and show you our free bend feature. So let's say we're trying to make this a kick. So we can come out here if we had our level. Do you want to level that?
I was going to say that's not level.
All right. Good enough to party? All right. So then we can go to our free bend mode. And then anything we do, we can creep this along and make really small incremental changes to this. So you can sit out here, tape measure, and just, okay, I'm at where I want. And then if you want to do a bunch of kicks that are all the same, you can push this button and it'll lock this. So then we can come back and repeat that angle over and over again.
So when you hit this, then it would stop at whatever that.
Yeah, it'll act like a regular major angle, as we call it, or your standard preset. Okay. And then if you want to clear it, just push the button, get rid of it. So
that's pretty dope, man. I can see why you're so excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. You want to make some bends?
Sure.
So
starting at 0.
I want to do offset?
Sure.
Okay. So really easy to change through your different angles. So just dial. So this is your reverse. This filled in arrow is going to be your lock. So that'll take you to that secure position where it'll zero the tool out. And then once you get to lock, it'll let you bend. So you just hold this down until it locks. It won't overbend. It'll sense that.
So it's just holding the
Yep, and locks itself in and you can see it. It's nice and tight in there. You can make some adjustments if you need to, but it's designed to be like hey, let's get everything set before we actually bend and have to maybe scrap the pipe if it's not. If you didn't get your layout set.
Yeah. So then we just hit this to actually bend it
and just hold it down.
It stops at a perfect 45. Then how do I loosen it?
So then you just hold this down and then you just support the conduit as it comes back. And then just push it through.
And then you said I can do different increments. I can do plus like 7 if I want to, right?
Yeah, yep, exactly. If you want to get crazy with it.
So that's 67 degrees then, right?
What's that?
That's beautiful, man.
On top of the accuracy and consistency from the angle perspective, we're also giving you no kinks and ripples as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
What about aluminum conduit?
Secret, bends aluminum pretty well. because we have continuous pressure, like when you're hand bending aluminum, the complaint that we kept hearing with aluminum is my guys keep wrinkling it because any alleviation of pressure, it starts to kink and rip. So because we have continuous pressure with this, it bends it really well.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. I'm bought into it. At first, I was like, why would I spend all this money on this? For like 73 reasons, this is a great thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree. You bet.
All right, so that's all cool, right? Like I think if we understand that what they're trying to do is replace the hand bending, the inconsistencies, the inaccuracies, and all of the things that can happen throughout a day to cause wasted conduits, wasted material and all of that, it's really great to see. But what I wanted to do is sit down and talk to him a little bit more in detail about how they arrive at a product like this, right? Because every new year that comes and they've got these new things, it's like, how do you get these harebrained ideas and how do you go from like some weird written down idea to like a final product? So here's some more conversation that I had with Jack, actually sitting down talking about their process in making this tool. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, man?
I saw you out there with this crazy conduit bender that I sat there and looked at and I was like, okay, that's an expensive thing that I have to buy and I don't know why I would replace a normal bender. And then you showed it to me and I was like, that's priceless.
Yeah.
So
certainly.
You guys are always fixing problems. Like you're like identifying. I want to know how does it work when you guys have an idea for something that you need to build? How do you go from just this harebrained crazy idea to like this full-blown solution that solves tons of our problems?
Yeah, it starts with us spending a lot of time out on job sites. So, whenever we're trying to identify ideas, it doesn't start in the office. It's us going out, sometimes on research without maybe even an objective. We're going to go look at this trade and watch a workflow. And we're going to try to find a problem and see what we could do to solve that. So we're always out there trying to identify problems, bringing them back to the HQ, breaking them down and working with our engineering teams to see if there's ways that we can, innovate, disrupt, and solve those issues.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed you guys don't launch like a product. You launch like an entire vertical of products. So you have to have a team that is intimately in the field with all of us getting
Correct.
feedback.
Yep.
Would you say that that's kind of what sets you guys apart as a company?
Yeah, I mean, you probably heard it all week, but I personally too, as someone who works at Milwaukee, really feel that is like every single one of our product team members is out in the field all the time and we're always getting feedback. And I think it's definitely a unique aspect to this career path. And honestly, the part I enjoy most about my job is being able to not just, ride a desk all day, be able to get out in the field, spend time with our core users and make sure that we're actually delivering the correct things for them to improve their day-to-day work.
So what is that actually? I'm so curious about you standing on a job site with like a hard hat and a clipboard. What does it actually look like when you guys are out there?
Yeah, we have to try to fly under the radar. Like the worst thing you do is show up in a red polo and everyone's like, "Hey, where's my free hat?" And I'm like, oh boy, this will be interesting. There's a lot of tricks of the trade to blend in. So I try to employ them as much as I can. The clipboard also dead giveaway. Everyone thinks you're OSHA. So that's a no-go usually. No. Yep. So we typically try to fly under the radar. I have a GoPro that I'll, use to record processes or something.
Okay.
Try to keep that as nondescript as possible. Make sure we're not disrupting the workflow. But yeah, definitely have to blend in. And that also helps us get better research. Like everyone works different when you're watching them. And so a lot of times when we can hang out on site for long enough where everyone's getting comfortable, they're getting back into the groove, that's where we really start to see, oh, this is actually how you do it. Because a lot of times you talk with someone and they're like, yeah, this is how I do it. Yeah. And then when you're not paying attention or they think you're not, then they do something completely different.
Right.
Like, oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
So that is certainly a part of it, being that chameleon on the wall and just watching what's happening.
Yeah, and I bet it's really exciting too to actually have a prototype or have something that you guys have made and then going back out and being like, try this and tell us what you like, what you hate about it.
Yeah, the hardest part about research is that it doesn't start with the prototype. It starts with like you just going out and they're like, what are you doing here? And you're like,
just watching you today.
Literally, I'm just going to watch you guys. So yeah, when we have a prototype, that's always exciting. And there's ups and downs with that too, because you go out and you find out what's not working really fast, and you get some very honest feedback, which is honestly exactly what we want to. People are like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but this really isn't what we want. And I'm like, that's what I need to hear, because if we don't hear that and you guys are just like, we love Milwaukee, then we're not going to get a good product, right? So
is there any sort of, beyond just like core probably customers that you have that you're able to do this with, is there any kind of public input process that you go out and seek before you build something?
Yes. So the short answer is, of course, we look at those things. Like, I think people would be surprised how much we see and like how committed to the space we operate in as product managers we are. Going through comments, looking for things people are saying, what do they like? Especially, if a new tool comes out, we're like, what are people saying they like, what they don't like? And then from there, that can be a spark to say, hey, we should go look at this a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So we definitely use that kind of broader public opinion to help drive some of the stuff. But then it's, no matter what, always got to be validated with us going out and seeing it. Like, it's got to be physically, visibly seen, and from our trade professionals, right? There's a lot of people that may get in the comments and say things that don't mean anything. So we got to go validate if that's real or not. And that's where that next level comes in, where we're flying around the country, going on job sites, and making sure that there's a real problem that we're going to solve.
Yeah. Well, I also like, just kind of as a company ethos, you guys all seem to be like drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm serious. You guys are so bought into this company. Every one of you, doesn't matter if I'm at NICA or NPS, all of you guys are excited and energized about what you're doing. And it's admirable to see that, because I think in the trades, one of the big things that we need is we need more buy-in from more groups of people to come into the trade. And especially the younger folks might not be as interested in it. And so I think we, as content creators, need to be a little bit more cognizant of how we're acting in the world and making sure that we're somebody worth looking up to. But I just noticed, as a company, you guys, in my opinion, are somebody worth aspiring to. Like, the standards that you set, the passion and drive, the lengths that you'll go out in the field to get feedback and everything. It's just really impressive. So thank you guys for being like an actually good thing in our industry.
Yeah. And I guess I want to comment on that. The Kool-Aid thing, we hear a lot. Everyone's drinking the Kool-Aid.
It's just the red shirts. It makes you think of Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I understand. I think the reason that we end up in that position is because it's so inspiring to go out on a site and work with the pro and understand what their problems are. And then when you go and solve that and you show up, there's no way you're not invested and engaged when you go show someone something and they said, hey, I wanted this 20 years ago. This is amazing. This is going to change the way I work. Pretty hard not to be inspired and love working for that company. So Milwaukee's huge on getting us into the field and spending time out there. And I think that's what drives the buy-in. And there's this point in every project where you've got a prototype, you've been refining it, and you bring it out, and some guy will say something about it or be like, hey, you can't take this home. Like, we need this to stay because we want to finish our job with it. And that's that, like, oh man, we got one here. And those are the things that keep me coming back and really inspire me to continue to try to drive productivity and safety for the electrical trades.
Yeah. So on you're obviously like in the life cycle of product development over and over and over. So at a certain point, you guys have to have an eye to the future and know what the zeitgeist of the moment is. Can you talk about what are the big things that everybody in the industry is concerned about that's driving you to make tools a certain way now that maybe it wasn't 20 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, the obvious one that's always been the same is productivity. Like, the time's money, man. We can't launch solutions that aren't driving, more efficiency and safety on the job site. So the other things that are definitely driving kind of what we're looking at are going to be around labor shortages. So, we hear constantly from our partners about difficulties with getting skilled tradesmen onto sites that are able to be productive and keep their jobs going. And, that's, when you look at something like the M18 Conduit bender, it's definitely something we're trying to aid with that tool. So giving them a solution that essentially is going to upskill the entire workforce. It's not taking, the skill to bend conduit and compressing it into like everyone can do this. It's really taking that spread of skill and shifting it up to where your best guys are going to get even faster, even more productive, and do even better work. And then your guys who today, they're like, you're not allowed to touch the conduit bender, man. Like, you've scrapped 100 feet of pipe, no more conduit. Now that guy can be a productive member on the site. You know, the foreman can trust him to go bend a bunch of 90s for a branch room or something like that. So it's really, I think that labor piece is a really big thing we're after, for sure.
Can you talk about what started you guys on that path where you looked at benders and obviously were like, let's scrap that whole thing?
Yeah, I think it came from a lot of complaints with the word, scrap, and inaccuracies and inconsistencies that were being seen in the hand bending space. And with the available solutions, people were just put in this trade-off of like, you have a hand bender, it's very portable, can go to where I want to be, delivers the benefits of being at the point of install. Or I can get a power bender, but it weighs 300 pounds. It's kind of overkill for the sizes we're using. Like, we need to prioritize that on, our feeder sizes or whatever. Good luck finding an outlet for it when you're the people running the conduit. So that was the trade-off. And really we were saying, hey, there's this situation where we still need the accuracy and consistency someone wants out of a machine bender, but in the package or with the level of portability of a hand bender where you can just go directly to that point. You're not walking back and forth and getting that output that you need.
Yeah, in my mind, and all of us, I was talking to some of the other influencers, our first thing was like, it doesn't do 1 1/4. And your answer was like, it's not meant to. It's the small form factor that replaces a hand bender for, most of the stuff people are doing every day. And you would probably increase the size drastically if you try to start getting into bigger benders, which loses the purpose of this tool.
Yeah, it's an exponential increase. Like, each step you go up, you're gonna grow essentially exponentially. So every part of the tool from size and weight's gonna grow, and you start just turning it into what we're trying to avoid, which is a really heavy, not portable solution that just lives in a corner, and your foreman's yelling at you for being a professional walker, just walking back and forth to the tool.
Yeah.
So getting it close is a huge piece of the productivity that may be overlooked in some capacity, but that's what our goal was.
Yeah, it seems like there's nothing you've overlooked with this tool too. It's actually really impressive. Like,
so nice.
When I pulled up and you started talking to me about it, and from every touch point and everything that you presented, it's like, you guys thought of that too. Like, even the fact that you just pull the top off, the hand with like one movement collapses and you can walk away. And so to me, I'm envisioning using this on a job site, and I'm like, okay, there's 3 of us on lifts. We're running all this conduit across a building in a commercial space, and we've got 1 or 2 of these that are our ground guys, and all they're doing is throwing bends out. And doesn't matter what their skill is. Every bend is going to be consistently the same. There's no dog leg anything. You can dial things in so the tool itself aligns itself to level perfectly. You don't have to think about it and draw your level out. And then the bends are precise. Every single one of them, the tool automatically stops. So it takes all of the pain points of that process of bending completely out.
Yeah. And the way we're looking at it too is, you think about getting the output you want, and it's an equation of all these variables of, skill level, how fatigued you are, what the conduit's going to do that day, which hand bender you have. There's all these variables, and you start stacking those, and that's how you get those inconsistencies. What we're trying to do is give you an incredibly consistent platform, or a constant in that equation, that you're not worried about that. You're just focused on, let me get my layout right, let me make sure I planned my routes correctly, and I know my tool is going to operate the way it should. And then we're also going to deliver that consistency tool to tool. So one of the other issues we see is like powered bender. You've got a triple nickel on this corner of the site, one over here. You're going to have different experiences and use different, marks or Sharpie marks on that tool to get the 90 or the offset that you want to make from that. With our tool, what we're giving you is a consistent experience where you might have 3 or 4 of these on a site. You can pull up to any one of them, and you're not going to have to relearn that tool or like make a dope chart for it or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you had experience with that, with the powered benders and like trying to get them dialed in to work correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you have skill level. Certain people have used things, other people haven't used them, so there's the teachability of it. And I think something like this, it took you a little bit of explaining like which buttons do which, but like after I sat and looked at it, I'm like, dude, there's like 6 buttons on it, and they're not even. It's just super easy and intuitive, and like once you've used it once, you could pick one up and use it anywhere.
Yeah, we iterated a lot on the user interface. The design team did an excellent job at trying to boil that down, all the different things you could want into as few buttons as possible to make it as simple to pick up and learn. And like you've seen out on the floor, I don't know if you've seen, but there's a bunch of people from other trades here as well, and they're coming over and I'm having them bend, 90s and offsets that are coming off the tool, which would be like acceptable to hang, where if, we give them a hand bender and try to have them do it, it's going to be a little bit different story maybe. So
yeah, no, that's absolutely true. So along the life cycle of putting that together, how many different iterations? Because obviously you didn't just design that and then like poof, we have it and it's done.
Yeah, we had a sense of what we wanted to do. Like the first iteration we had a pretty good sense of what we wanted the tool to do. A lot of the tweaking came around how are we going to set up the bend position and like how the shoe, like what orientation the shoe bends in, where it's going to be optimized for aligning your layout, your planes, and then seeing your UI not moving around the tool. So we had some iterations of the tool where we called it the little song and dance that would happen, where you'd need to like walk around the tool constantly to try to get things lined up or see your marks, and you'd be bending over things. And so we optimized the tool through a couple different iterations to make sure that it was laid out in a way where it kept you upright, you could see all your critical information and stay relatively in that same spot. Because the last thing your foreman wants to see is you just like walking back and forth around the tool, not bending pipe. So that was through several iterations, and that's where we landed on what we have.
Well, I have two sort of highly uneducated critiques of things that I would know. I've noticed about it that I'm just curious how it would change. I would need to use it several times to overcome these objections. But the first thing is most of us are doing our work on the ground and bending up. Mm-hmm. And this is doing everything aerial and bending down.
Yep.
So it almost changes the dynamics of everything that we have to bend. And I think you would get used to doing anything like that. But there are certain bends where we'll flip a bender upside down and then bend it, But I just wonder how much that from a mental, doing everything where it's like bending the opposite way would trip people up at all.
Yeah, we've definitely seen people get tripped up. It seems like there's a split in people bending between some guys love just air bending and doing like just push through for other than 90s. Mm-hmm. Other people operate a lot more on the floor. Once you've used the tool a couple times, you get used to it. It's got a very short learning curve in that way. I think the thing that most people aren't expecting is when they do a kick, they're always expecting to come up. And the first time they do it from the air position, because if I'm getting this right, you can't physically do that with the hand bender. The first time they do that from the air position, it always goes down on their tape.
Right.
When they're holding their tape out measuring it. So
that was actually my second critique is you had showed me how to do one of those kicks.
Yeah.
And you were talking about measuring it. I'm like, yeah, but what are you measuring it from? You don't have a plane. So on the ground, I can measure from the ground and kick up to it. But now that you have the flat horizontal piece that's aerial.
Yeah.
Once you bend that kick down, I have nothing to measure off of. So I would have to like put another piece of pipe on it to get a straight edge to measure off.
Got it.
So just like a little detail like that I was wondering how that would work out, because you would essentially have to take the material off, put it on the ground, then do your measurement and realize, oh crap, it's not right. Got to put it back up there.
Got it. Yeah, you're talking about for dialing in that kick.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is one of the trade-offs we made. One of the ways we're going to help still increase productivity there is that once you have that dialed in, you check it, you're like, yep, it's right where I want to be. You can lock that bend in and then just repeat it over and over again. So if you have a bunch of kicks that all need to be that same angle, it's locked in. Because today you're just like, okay, I want a 10-inch kick, and you're going to keep making them, but you don't know what degree that is necessarily depending on the distances between your marks.
Yeah.
And so we're able to actually also translate that into a degree, because you're going to see it went down to 10 inches. It's saying, let's just say 22.5 degrees for whatever reason. So now you can lock that in and continue to do it. And then if you did another kick and you're like, oh, we got to redo that, you're like, oh yeah, that was bent at 22.5. It definitely unlocks some ways that you can increase productivity when you're doing a lot of bends that need to be similar that you're just not going to find on another bender.
And that's great, because a lot of structures too don't have perfectly level walls, or there's cracks and joints and stuff,
No.
So being able to dial something in to have insane accuracy to what the job site needs is really great.
Yeah. And not just saving it on a piece of cardboard or a piece of masking tape that inevitably someone throws out.
Yeah.
It's saved inside of the tool for you. Yeah.
Yeah, the number of
of cardboard things that I've lost with really important material lists.
Yes.
Well, thank you for taking the time, man. It kind of opens up my eyes. It's nice for us out in the field to see how you guys do what you do, because for us, we come to Milwaukee and we see tables with tools, and we don't really get to understand why your stuff is really the best. And you're blowing everybody out of the water, like in every segment. Own it, yeah, brother, own it. But no, it's really important to see your process, because I don't think that you guys half step into anything that you do, and you do it at a very high level. And I can tell you care a lot about us because you're making this stuff for us. And even just seeing stuff like your employees have to go through working, some of them, to like understand how tools are used and how materials are put together, to the work that you do with kids and trying to bring youth into our trade. Like you're as thoughtful about a tool as you are about your impact in the entire industry globally. So I just appreciate and respect that.
Absolutely, man. That's our dedication.
Cool. It was good to talk to you, homie.
You as well.
Later.
So that's pretty dope, right? Like I love getting to sit down and figure out the process behind stuff, because like I said, man, when we go out and buy a tool, we just go and we pick up something on a shelf and go out and like use it in the field. We don't really think about anything more than that. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of perspective of like what Milwaukee is and why they are the way that they are, and why everything's so rad, and like why we all love it. So hope you guys learned something. Love you crazies. I'll see you in the next one.